Hi guys, welcome to episode 17 of Colorway Wednesday. As you might have noticed, we are in a different location and drastically different setup. And by that I mean I don't have my ring light, so I apologize for the lighting quality. But we have a special episode today since I recently, and by recently I mean just a couple of days ago, graduated undergrad. I thought it'd be fun to celebrate the beginning of a new chapter by revisiting an old one. And what better way to do that than revisiting the way I would color coloring pages as a kid? Um, but that being said, our coloring pages today, I'm really excited about them. I think they're going to be really fun. They're actually worksheets, so get excited, guys. These are by Superstar Worksheets. We've got a fishbowl and some fishies. So today, the way we're going to do this, we are going to, at least I'm going to color my fishbowl first, and then I'm going to color at least one fish to put in the fishbowl, and then I'm going to cut them both out. I'm going to glue them together, and that's going to be this week's coloring page. I thought it would be fun to do an untraditional coloring page rather than just another coloring page like we've been doing. Not that there's anything wrong with what we've been doing, but still. Um, I have my clipboard that I used as a kid when I would draw and color. Um, I've got my tub of childhood crayons. Um, and if you can see this beautiful background setup, that is a bunch of my childhood toys. And by my childhood toys, I mean my sibling and I's. Siblings and I's. I have multiple. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I know this is kind of weird because typically I do, live streams and not pre-recorded episodes, but I thought it'd be really fun today to play with one pre-recording, even though it's just a solo episode. Partially because I have plans tomorrow. But then also I was like, I always do live streams. I've never done a pre-recorded. So I thought we'd play around with it. But yes. So I graduated with my undergraduate degree, which was a bachelor's in fine arts, this past Saturday. I got a degree in acting, very fun, very cool. But yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I know we kind of jumped right into it. I'm just very excited about this week's stuff. I don't think it's really going to take us that long. Um, but yeah, someone suggested, they were like, hey, you should do a fish here soon. Um, because we're kind of like getting to summer vibes. Like I know a lot of people are on summer break now. And so I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's do a fish. And then I was struggling to find ones that I liked, and then I found a little website that had these cute little fish, and then I like saw the fish bowl and I was like, "Oh, how funny would that be?" And how fun would it be to do multiple coloring pages in one week since we haven't done that yet. If you're a friend of the show, welcome back. Happy to have you. If you've never watched one of these before, essentially this is Colorway Wednesday, a little talk show where I sit somewhere in wherever I'm living at the time and we color, we chat. Sometimes we have guests, hopefully, now that I do not have an undergraduate degree to be worrying about, um, and school and stuff like that. I will be able to coordinate more guests to come on here soon because I know that that's always really fun to like see people you know or people you may have never heard of on here. Um, but yeah, so hopefully we're going to bring some more guests on here soon. But essentially, Colorway Wednesday is literally just my little way of encouraging people and reminding people to get a little creative in the middle of the week. Full transparency, since I already said I'm recording this ahead of time, I'm recording this on a Tuesday. So it still counts as the middle of the week, in my opinion. But, you know, it's fun. Oftentimes I blab about life and whatnot. These are typically live streams, like I mentioned, so feel free to tune in. They always, not always, but I aim to always have them start at 7 p.m. CST every single Wednesday. But you can also follow my Instagram for updates because sometimes I haven't really ever had to delay episodes. There's been a couple of weeks I've taken off of the like actually live streaming. There was one week that I just needed a bit of a mental health break. And so what I did was I didn't live stream, but I still did the coloring page. Um, so you never know when that may happen, just for time's sake. But trust, there should almost always be a coloring page unless something crazy is going on in my life. But yeah, I always forget how like crayons smell. They have such a distinct smell, and I know some people love it and some people hate it. I just find it interesting. I have no strong opinions. But yeah, I'm really excited that we're doing this. Next week we'll have a better setup. I am actively working on moving back into my mom's house for the time being. Um, so half of my stuff is still at my college apartment, half of my stuff is here. And so because of that, and I wasn't sure how long I was going to be here this week. So I don't have my ring light. So again, I apologize for the lighting. Um, I'm using a beautiful blend of natural lighting from outside and then also a little ceiling light, um, which hopefully that makes it a little bit more bearable. I know the people who do typically like watch these use them more like a podcast, so I'm not terribly worried about it. I do need to invest in a mic though. That is something on my radar. Don't you worry. But yeah. Oh yeah. We got the water done mostly. Cutesy cutesy. Um So now that we have the water done, we're gonna go ahead and do the seaweed. I'm gonna color the tank, as I'm sure you can already tell. I'm gonna use traditional colors just because I think it'll be fun. But as always, I encourage you, if you are following along at home, please feel free to deviate, go whatever colors your heart desires. If you want pink water, go for it. No one can stop you. Just do not dye your actual fish tank pink. I think that is a form of cruelty, but I'm not too sure on that. Don't quote me. All right, I got this. Should I make the rocks blue? Because I could make them like the pebbles, like little gray pebbles, or I could make them like bluish purplish. Or I could just make them like, yeah, let's do a mix of those. That'd be fun. Excuse me. Oh yeah, that's fun. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a gray crayon, doing a base of that on each of the rocks very lightly, and then I'm going over with this purple and then just very lightly adding little hints of purple. Um, Maybe even adding a little shading. Nothing too crazy. Whatever your heart so desires. And then, lastly, take your blue and can splash a little blue in there. Yeah, that's fun. I don't know how it's going to show up on this camera. Not well is how it's going to show up on this camera. And that's okay. I do always post my finished products on Instagram. I typically share them via stories, but if you look on the Colorway Wednesday tab, I always have them saved there so you can say them. Sorry, my Oklahoman slipped out. Uh, you can see them far after the fact. Doing another splash of purple. We're gonna add a little bit more here. I'm not going for like crazy, like realistic shading. on these rocks because also truthfully, um, I'm not great at shading. There's a reason I'm a watercolors girl typically. Also, I've never really seen someone do shading with crayons. I'm sure someone has done it. I've just, I don't really see a lot of artists over the age of 7 utilize this medium, which is really tragic. It's a good medium. Mainly because it's just really fun. There's something really therapeutic about just returning to coloring similarly to how you did as a kid. Because I think if I colored like willy nilly, going every single direction my heart so desired, like I did when I was a kid, that would be very stressful for me now. Um, so we're not fully returning to our childhood roots, but we're honoring them. Alrighty, just 2 more rocks to go. I know I technically could just like do the prime coat, which is the little gray, on all of them, and then do my purple on all of them, and then do my blue on all of them. But I think it's kind of fun to like be like, oh look, I just achieved this tiny thing. I learned in my last few weeks of college, checklists are lovely, but they're especially lovely whenever you actually break down the tasks to be kind of small. So it's not just finish project. It's like, here's how I'm going to finish the project. And genuinely, that's the main thing that kept me sane for the rest of my undergrad career as I was wrapping up. Let's see, we're going to add a little fun, sort of funky effect here. And does that look the way I intended? No. And that's okay. Let's see. Doing that, doing that. All right. Then the fishbowl top and bottom, I'm going to color, let's see. I could do like a dark blue. We're gonna do a dark blue for the base and the rim. Not to be confused with the pageant system rim, Royal International Miss. Shout out to all my rim girlies. There we go. I know technically since I'm pre-recording these, I could technically go and like edit out pauses. But you're not gonna get that because I want this to be as similar to the live streams as possible. It just feels more relaxed, I think, that way. Because also it just kind of reminds us, it's okay to appreciate silence. It's okay to let it live. Okay, our fishbowl is now complete. Hopefully you can see that well. There we go. Very fun, very cute. I think we're only like 10 minutes in, so I really can slow down. Because, typically whenever I live stream, these are like 40 minutes, roughly. Um, which obviously I do have a much more simple sheet this week, but I think I'm going to make a rockin' red violet fish. I might actually color all of the fish tonight, and then go in and cut out the one I decide I'm going to put in my little fish bowl. Obviously, that is not you have to color all of the fish, but I mean, they're all there, might as well. You could always take these and like color them to like represent different emotions, hang them on your door, and then like swap out the fish depending on your mood. to like warn people. That'd be fun. That'd be really fun. You'd probably need Velcro or something for that though. So then that way it's a little easier to swap them out without worrying about actually pulling up some of the wax from the crayons. Hopefully, the people watching right now aren't people who say crowns. I grew up calling them crowns personally. Um, but for some reason now I say crayons. I'm not quite sure why I did that shift. I think it's because technically I like my adult brain knows that's correct, and I'm like, ah, fine. I guess I'll like do the correct thing. Rock and red violet fish. Let's see, what color would go well with rock and red violet? I know technically I could color all these fish just one color, but I want to add like some fun different sides of them and whatnot. There's my fish currently. I know technically, with the fish, it's a little goofy to have, like, I'm only going to utilize one fish. You can put multiple fish in your fish tank though. I'm planning on only utilizing one to go directly into my little fish tank. However, I have a fun little project coming up here soon for um, Colorway Wednesday, and so they're all going to go in there. But these are fun. Um, all of there because it was the website had an option with like one fish, but he was huge. He took up the entire page. Two fish, they took up half the page respectively. And then I think, yeah, the last one obviously is the six fish one. They did the same thing with the little fish bowls. Um, However, I didn't really want to do that here, just because I didn't want it to be like, here's this giant fish bowl, and here's this giant fish. And if you try to put the fish in the fish bowl, it doesn't fit. Um, Obviously, when I say in, I mean on top of, but that's part of the beauty of what we are doing, isn't it? All right. Trying to decide, I just added some blue to the scales on the fish that I'm working on. I'm trying to decide what other color, because I want a different base color. And this is why it's good that we're doing floor time. I'm just gonna take out little scoops. Because again, there's a lot in here. For those of you who don't know, I grew up the youngest of three. So do not worry, these are not all my own crayons. I also had younger cousins, so some of these crayons are probably from when said younger cousins visited. When they would like leave stuff here. I think I'm going to do green as the base. We'll see if we like it. Ooh, that's kind of fun. A funky little fish. And this is like the prime place to get creative in my opinion, because honestly, fish are such odd creatures and you can low-key color a fish however you want and it still looks cool, since you know they're so colorful, especially like betta fish, um, which I guess canonically the fish I end up putting in the little tank coloring page is probably a betta fish. That's funny to think about. I think other fish can live solitary, but betta fish are just so known for it that it's like, oh, I guess he's a betta fish, even though these look Not nothing like betta fish. They still look like fish, but let's see. Coloring, 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 yeah. I hope if you have school that all that's been going well. Or went well if you finished your school year already, like some people did. Um, Myself included. Pretty exciting stuff. It's always weird trying to figure out what the next step in life is, but the lovely thing is, at the end of the day, things can change. You don't have to make every single important decision right now, or else everything's going to fall apart and be horrible, and you're never going to live a good life. Luckily, that's not the way it works. So we are all good there. We have to remind ourselves that sometimes, and that's okay. I think it's really important to be like transparent on this show. So, like, this genuinely has been a very helpful process for me. While my whole platform emphasizes a whole lot of art for mental health and art just for taking care of yourself in various different ways and during various different challenges in life, um, sometimes it's really hard to actually have the discipline or the motivation to just create something. I've noticed that this has genuinely been very helpful for me. It's made me a lot more creative. It's made me a lot more prone to just sitting down and making something. I hope to do a lot more of that this summer. I'm hoping to make a couple of like cute little items and clothing pieces for nationals this year. But we shall see. All just depends on time and what I spend my time doing and what just how we decide to execute the remainder of our time. It'll be good no matter what. I'm quite excited for nationals. I don't know about y'all, but my fishies are looking pretty fun. If you want to color along, I forgot to say this, but if you want to color along, feel free to. You can easily do so by going onto my Instagram where I share the link to each of the coloring sheets. I share the Google PDF. I link that. So it also like has the correlating episode numbers. So if for some reason you want to go back and you're like, oh, episode 13's is really cute, then great, take that. You can easily download that PDF and then you can go in and play that video along with it if you want. There's never an obligation to actually like do both. You don't have to watch the video while you color. You don't have to color while you watch the video. Obviously, there's no way of me policing that, but I just wanted to make sure it was known. All right. I've got two of my fishies done. We're gonna do a funky little swirl one. I'm gonna just color him in by doing a lot of circles. And like not actually like get rid of all the paper color, but just do these circles. Give it some texture. That's fun. Kind of looks like Cheeto dust because I used orange. That's kind of gross. Awesome, but kind of gross. There we go. Red, orange. I always got so annoyed by the red orange crown as a kid. Crown, sorry. Um, because it's so like, yeah, it's kind of red, yeah, it's kind of orange, but like you couldn't come up with a different name for that color. You just red orange. Okay, sure. Works for me. And then put more of the orange in this. Do a cool little like blended color. This might be the fish we use, honestly. I'm trying not to like plan ahead and just kind of like organically decide in the moment, like, oh, I think this one would be cute. But there's our little orange fish. Then let's go with some green. And it's a different type of green. Don't worry, guys. I have a couple of options. Just a few. Let's see, what else is there to talk about? Ho hum, ho hum. Spent the morning on FaceTime with one of my sister queens. She's technically not one of my sister queens, but she's a Miss Division queen from the same system as I am, and so we kind of just say we're sister queens because we want to be. Um, but friend of the show, Jamie Urban, we were on call for a good while this morning, just kind of working on various pageant stuff. Like she was ordering a couple of things she needs, and I was editing headshots and stuff like that. Getting ready. We have our headshot deadline this weekend, and then also we have to order our opening number shoes by this Friday. So we've just been prepping for that, figuring all that jazz out. Um, I don't want to like say what all she was working on. Like, I mean, it's just like areas of competition, but still, I'm like, that's technically not my business to be saying. But I also don't really remember what I worked on. I know I updated my LinkedIn, not pageant related. I just happened to decide to do that. Um, but yeah, I updated my LinkedIn. I worked on. I sent some emails. I got some stuff solidified for a project I'm working on. This is a funky green. Kind of reminds me, there's this one episode of Kim Possible that scared me so much as a kid, where, if you don't know Kim Possible, she's a crime-fighting teenager, and she has a best friend named Ron. And this episode, Ron goes back to the summer camp that he used to go to as a kid, and he hated every minute of. But he like reluctantly has to go back to that summer camp and finds out it's like a toxic wasteland and that his like bully mutated into this horrifying creature. And by horrifying creature, I mean it's early 2000s Disney animation. He looks like a silly little guy. But it was horrifying as a child, but it's also kind of awesome now. So do with that information what you will. But I think I'm gonna give one of these. That's violet red. That's why I didn't like violet red, because I always find it thinking it was red and then I figured it out. I think it'd be really funny to give one of these fish lipstick. Like, just inexplicable. She's got lippies on and she looks good. Yes, Diva. Oh, yeah. That's a good fish right there. I'm gonna make her fin, like her dorsal fin and everything. I'm gonna make it the same color as her lipstick. She color matched. How cute. If you're following along, or like coloring your own versions of this, please make sure to tag me if you decide to post online. I would just love to see what you guys come up with because it's so fun coming up with all these little fishies and all their little fishy personalities. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else there's to talk about. I'm on fish number 5. I think I'm gonna make her wear. There's a pink. I don't love pink and red together, so I typically try to avoid that. Let's go. Ooh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I like this. I like this. We're cooking, guys. Don't you worry. If you notice me like checking my phone because it lights up, my sister's gonna be home soon, so I'm just making sure I know when she is gonna be home so I don't like accidentally panic, thinking that like someone's breaking in or something. Let's see. I always say that as like a filler on this. I don't know where it comes from because I don't think I say it that much in any other context except on Colorway Wednesday. I'll like become subconsciously aware in the middle that I'm coloring but I'm not actively talking, and so then I'll just mutter a little let's see to myself, so then it's like, look, I look so focused and studious. I mean, like, I guess, but also sissy poo poo. There's a reason we're recording this. That'd be crazy to like. I should do an ASMR special whenever I get a mic. That's how I launch the fact that I got an actual mic for this. You can just hear me coloring. I don't say anything. It's a very quiet episode, other than the fact that you can hear the like sound of crayons on paper or something like that. Because I feel like crayons would be the best medium if I was to do like a listen to the sounds of coloring. Do an 8-hour Colorway Wednesday stream. Like 8 hours of Colorway Wednesday to help you fall asleep. I don't know if y'all see those. I watch a couple of YouTubers that like their fan base makes a lot of like they'll edit videos together and like string them together and then be like, oh yes, watch this and you'll fall asleep. Here's my silly little fishy with lipstick. Not sure how much I love the colors we went with, but I think ultimately the only thing that matters is the fact that we made a choice and we stuck with it. So I'm gonna do cross hatching on this one. So cross hatching is whenever you draw a couple of lines one way and then you change the direction you're going. It just kind of adds some fun looks. Color that dorsal fin. And then once we're done with this guy, I'm going to decide which of them we are going to use and then cut it out, glue it on, and that'll be the episode. I hope y'all are having as much fun with this as I am. Again, like I said, I know this is an unorthodox episode, but I thought it would be really fun to like literally just sit on a blanket on the floor and color. I used to do that a lot as a kid. I don't think so much on this blanket. This is one of our picnic blankets because my family had designated blankets that we would take for stuff like that. But my fishies are done. This one right here, the blue-green, he's got cross hatching on him. I'm gonna go ahead and, again, I'm not editing this video. I'm gonna go ahead and take a picture of all of our fishies before cutting them, as well as a picture of our fish bowl before cutting it, because I think it's cute to be able to see what all we have. Alrighty. There's a crown under my foot. I know I'm cleaning the crowns right now. I don't need to do that. Okay, so I think I like the green and blue one, but I think he would blend in with the tank too much. I personally am really biased towards the first one we did. This guy right here. I think he'd look really nice in this little fish tank. I think that's his new home. So we're gonna go ahead and make that decision. I'll cut the others out individually as well, just not on the stream right now. Not stream. Recording, you know what I mean. You're picking up what I'm putting down. Alrighty. I'm very focused because it really bothers me whenever like cutting things and you can see like the printer line and then there's like little specks of white next to it because you didn't cut close enough. So I'm trying to avoid that. And obviously whenever you cut these, they don't have to be perfect. Mine sure isn't going to be. It's a little wavy so far already, but that adds charm. Little bits of arts and crafts, middle of the week. So definitely something I need to do a little more often. Which granted, I work weekends, so I am going to be having a lot of free time on my hands these next few weeks. So expect even more thoroughly planned Colorway Wednesdays, more guests. I know I've been saying for a hot second, hoping to have guests, but like a lot of the people I already know are very, very busy around this time of year. They're either students or like teachers or various things like that. I know a lot of people who are moving right now, so there's just a lot of things to factor in, a lot of outside factors I can't really control, which is okay. But hopefully, since I myself have more time to sit down and go, okay, hi guys, who can visit? We have that. I have my little fishbowl all cut out. Quite cute. Now to cut my little fishy. I think I'm going to name him Berthaldo. Berthaldo has lived a very full life. He loves long walks on the beach. And by that I mean he gets washed ashore very often and kind of has to flop his way back to the ocean. But luckily he always does. He has a little mermaid friend who helps him. Don't scratch your nose when holding scissors like I just did. Don't do this at home, kids. I'm a bad example. Maybe I should edit this. Alrighty. I probably should have cut Bertholdo first rather than the tank, because the tank was a lot easier. I'm a big proponent of get the hard stuff out of the way first, and then the easier stuff seems so much faster. That's not the case this time around, but that's okay. There's so many curved lines on this one. It's almost like he's a fish or something. Crazy! Roughly halfway through with cutting Bertholdo. This has been really nice. Most of the times that I have like cut out very specific shapes like this, they've been for fundraisers and stuff like that for a student organization that I was in not high school, college. So now I'm very like, whoa, this is weird. I'm kind of just doing this for my own enjoyment. That's one of the things I'm quite looking forward to about not being in college anymore, as I've been told, depending on the path you take post graduation, suddenly you realize that it is fun to have hobbies again. Granted, have I had hobbies this entire time? Yes, absolutely. However, it's just gonna, I think I'm gonna have a lot more hobbies here shortly. Since my mother works full time and I only work on the weekends. So, and that's okay. Technically, I'm like supposed to be resting and like recharging from a brutal last 4 years. I know I've touched on it briefly on the show. I've had a lot of health problems during undergrad. So, technically supposed to be resting, and I'm trying my best to rest, but it's a challenge for me. But how beautiful is it to have things that challenge you, because that's how you improve. Bertholdo. All right, it's time to glue him in. I grabbed a random bottle of Elmer's glue from what we call the school cabinet here. I was homeschooled as a kid, so there were certain things that have names that are no longer really applicable, but I mean, why would we change it by this point? Goodness, the smell of Elmer's glue takes me back, apparently. Alrighty. So what I just did is I put glue on, I put like a small dab of glue on all of the like finer details, so like the little fins and whatnot. And then I just pressed him onto my little tank. And here we go. Let me And that, my friends, is Bertholdo and his tank. Um, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for tuning in like this. I know this isn't my traditional way of doing this. And thank you for all the support and love. I hope you have an amazing Wednesday, because this is going to go live on Wednesday. I just have plans with friends. So, But I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week. I shall see you next week, and maybe we will do something equally as out of the box as we have been doing before. Thank you so much, and I shall talk to you guys soon. Bye!